The first car I ever had was a 1991 Volvo 240, and I know, because I spent so much time with this car, I could picture it in my brain. The door to the gas tank, the little flappy dap that the gas goes into once you unscrew the thing. What's it called? The gas door? I don't know. That was on the passenger side. And I remember I would pull up and then I'd walk around. And every other car I've had since then, the gas door has been, what's it called? Filler door? The gas cap door? Gas door. That thing. What do you call that part of the car? What do you call it? What do you call it? That's the gas cap. I know what that is. I know what the gas cap is. The fuel door. The fuel door. That is always on every other car I've ever had. That's been on the driver's side. And I like this less. It's different. And I know this was how my first car was, so maybe that's the case. But I personally like it more when it's on the passenger side. But I think no one else cares. It's very easy to have opinions. And I'm sure that you have opinions, and you probably like it the way that your first car was too. But I don't like it to be on the driver's side, because then when I'm opening the driver's side door, as I pull up to the gas pump, I open it and I have to hit my door on this giant concrete pylon that's there to protect the gas pump from cars crashing into it. So you have to pull out perfectly so that your door opens, but also so the gas door is lined up with the pump. And that filler door. It's like the cellar door, but it's the filler door. No, it's not that, it's the fuel door. God dang it. There's a filler something. There's like a filler neck. Is that a thing that I'm making up? Filler neck. The fuel filler neck is the primary point of entry for fuel in a vehicle. Dang, Hank. That was in there. I am curious, and I've been actually asked this by Phoenix Ward on Twitter, but I'm curious why the fuel door is on different sides in different cars. I have a few thoughts about this straight off the bat. One is that this is actually better. It's better to have a mix than to have one or the other. Because when you pull into the gas tank, you don't want everybody to have the same side so that you can just two cars can go whoop right in. But I'm curious about this, especially because I went on Twitter. If you can believe this, it's a real thing that I did. I went on Twitter and I asked, where's your fuel door? Apparently I knew what it was called back then. And what I got was 34,856.57. Thank you for that 2018 Ford driver. People have responded to this survey. So I have at my fingertips just a tremendous amount of data on this question. And I can very easily now tell you what the situation is. But first, are there, perchance, any smart, awesome kids in your life who you think might someday solve some important problem with the world so well that we never even think about it? Certainly, we are never going to run out of problems to solve, so I'd like to introduce you to Crunch Labs, Mark Rober's monthly STEM build box, which is sponsoring this video. So thanks to them for that, and also thanks to them for just being an amazing thing. My son and I have been doing Crunch Labs together for over 2 years, and the list of reasons I love it is long. Every month, it shows up at the house. He's always super excited to do it with me. It's an excuse for me to put down my phone and just spend some focused time with him. Every box is a toy that your child gets to build while learning engineering and physics concepts. And I honestly also learn some engineering and physics concepts because I don't have much of a background in engineering. And you get to do it with an exclusive Mark Rober video that goes through the instructions for building the toy. It's great quality time with a kid. It teaches them STEM skills, but also resilience. And in the 2 years we've been doing it, I have been consistently impressed by how clever and fun the builds are. Mark, if you don't know, is a former NASA engineer and also a friend of mine, and I'm super excited that they're sponsoring this because I really like what they do. Crunch Labs is a fantastic gift, and this is gift giving time. So you can go to crunchlabs.com/HankGreen to get your first box. Make sure you use that link because it helps me and it also helps them know how their different efforts of getting the word out are working. So yeah, if you sign up after using my link, that will be good for me. And it's great. It really is. I like it so much. All right, thanks for checking that out. Now, back to the data. 34% of you have your fuel door on the passenger side, like my old Volvo, and 65% of us have it on the driver's side, like all of the cars I've had since then. I can also see that most of you drive a Ford. No. Most of you drive a Toyota, and then a Honda. That would make sense. And then a Subaru. That's actually very weird. That Subaru is the fourth most driven car in my, I guess, if I was going to guess a weird one, I might guess Subaru, but that's a lot of Subarus, you guys. Just by knowing that, I can tell you this is not necessarily a perfectly representative data set, but we can say with a fair amount of accuracy that there are more people with driver's side fuel doors than passenger side fuel doors, but there's a substantial portion that have passenger side fuel doors. I am very curious. One, why this isn't standard. Why don't we just have it all on one side? I recognize that it would be a worse world because then it would be harder for everybody to pull into the gas station. But two, what are some of the arguments for and against? So I've got two arguments that are in favor of having my fuel door on the passenger side. One, when I pull up to the pump, I open my door into empty space. I don't have to worry about making sure that I don't slam it into that concrete thing. And two, and this is nuts, I know, this is like an edge case, but if you run out of gas on the side of the highway, you pull off to the side, and then you have to fill up your gas tank with like gas that you got from somewhere else, you want to be standing away from traffic. And so you want to be standing there filling up the gas without you standing right there on the side of the road. And I think that's real. I think that if that saves a single life, it was worth it. Now, arguments in favor of the driver's side, you don't have to walk all the way around the car to get to the gas pump. You just walk out and then do the thing. And like, I recognize this is an advantage. I've experienced this advantage. Why are more fuel doors on the driver's side? Because it seems like we're on the way to something. Why do they design cars with gas tanks on the passenger side? Gas tanks, fuel doors. Why are fuel doors on different sides of the car? I want to know why they are preferred to be on the driver's side. Why do some cars have fuel door on the passenger side? Why don't all cars have the fuel door on the same side? No, everybody wants to know every question except for me. The tank itself is almost always in the middle. So where's the tank? We should look at that. Car, gas, tank, where? I mean, I know where it is. It's in the back. It's in the back, as far away from the driver as they could get it. So that's the fuel tank. It's like between the tires, which keeps it nice and protected. And then you can fill it from either side. Now, I'm sure that there's stuff that takes up the space, and so you don't want to have it on both sides. That would add expense. Actually, would I pay extra to have the fuel door on both sides? I might. There is, though, another solution to this problem. Gas tank under license plate. This was a thing that used to be a thing. So here's all vehicles with a gas cap behind the license plate. Is that really a list? Oh yeah, look at him go. Not the least. Okay, now that I'm seeing it, I don't love it. But you see the advantage here. You pull up, and whichever side the gas tank's on, you can fill from that side. So why don't we do that anymore? I'll give you one guess, and it rhymes with explosions. One of the places that your car gets hit the very most is right there, right? It's boom, where this guy is standing. You get rear-ended. This is a very common car accident. You don't want a situation where you get rear-ended, the filler neck cracks, and it starts leaking gasoline, and then something happens, and so this is illegal. We have made this illegal for that very reason. And that's kind of a bummer because it's kind of nice. It could be done a lot better than has happened with this man. This looks unpleasant. That he has to sort of wedge it in there. The official cars of needing to use both hands to fill up because you have to hold the spring-loaded license plate down to get the pump in. Yeah. That doesn't seem great. Okay, I'm coming around. I like the way that we do it right now, both for explosion reasons and because I think, honestly, it's just more convenient. Now, it is nice that these days, this wasn't always the case, the little gas icon in your car will have an arrow that points to the side of your car that actually has the fuel door. That's great. I'm glad that we're doing that now, though I do, whenever I pull into the gas station, I've become overly reliant on that. I'm always looking down at the dashboard when I'm pulling into a gas station, which seems unsafe. But, so why are fuel doors on different sides of the car? The case of efficient gas stations, we've already talked about this. The case for roadside safety. Many manufacturers say that putting it on the passenger side keep drivers safe during roadside incidents. The case for car design. Even still, for a lot of manufacturers, it seems it varies from car to car. This is actually something I wanted to check because I can. So I can actually rate this. I can sort this by A to Z, and I can actually look. It's going to take forever, but I can. I have too much data, you guys. So VW, almost all on the passenger side. Some people are saying nothing. Some people are saying driver's side, but like that could just be user error. Because it's so consistently passenger side that I'm willing to say that indeed VW is either entirely passenger side or almost all. Now we got to get past the VWs. I got a lot of cars here, you guys. These early Volvos, all passenger side. That's my car. That's the car I had. Toyota's all driver's side with a couple of passenger sides. And then a lot more mixed in the older cars. Interesting. But newer cars, almost all driver's side. Subaru's all passenger side. Okay, so it's very manufacturer specific right now. Nissan, switching it up. Back and forth. Nissan's all over the place. All right. So some of them don't. I mean, it would make sense that a manufacturer would pick a way to do it so that like they'd have a spec for engineers to follow, but also a lot of your cars are going to be built on the same platform, and they're of course all going to have the same fuel door situation. I'm really interested when we get to Chevy. Oh, we're switching back and forth on Jeep. Jeep's definitely both ways. Eventually we'll get to Chevys. I love it. I love me a Chevy. I'm like the most brand affiliation with Chevy personally. Dodge, driver's side. Chrysler, driver's side. Chevy, pretty driver's side specific. Oh, BMW, very passenger side. Okay, there's a European thing going on here. But in Germany, they drive on the same side of the road as us, right? They drive on the right side of the road. Yes. Okay. So I thought so. So that's not because they drive on a different side of the road. If only there were a bunch of British car companies. But there aren't, are there? British people. There's the Mini. Is that the only? There's others, I'm sure. Now, the other thing that I did want to check, and maybe I should, is time. So has this changed over time? And I now have pretty good data, but probably what this is going to actually tell us is just how buying patterns have changed. Like, are there more late model BMWs than there are late model Hyundais and Kias, which there aren't very many because they weren't selling a lot of them back then. I don't know. Like, that might not actually be that interesting, but like maybe it would be. I don't know. I don't want to do it. It's too much work. I did it earlier and it was really hard, and the effect didn't seem that big. So here's the 90s, which is very similar to how it was before. If we scroll down here, we can get the mid 2000s, which actually there was a little bit of a change. So there was like a space in there where it like went more driver's side. I feel like overall now we are much more driver's side than we used to be. We're as driver's side as we ever have been. It feels like we're headed toward a standard, but actually we don't want that world, because it is better for the parking efficiency to not have this be a thing. Now, I will say, this video is one day going to be a relic of the past. People will be like, oh yeah, remember when most of the cars on the road were gasoline vehicles and we thought about gas stations a lot rather than like with electric cars? Now, some electric cars do the thing that where like you don't have to worry about filler necks, so you can actually have the plug right in the front. Now, you do still have to worry about front end and rear end collisions, and so it's probably better to keep them on the sides, just because that's another thing that you don't want to get damaged. Because if you break the plug, once you run out of charge, your car's bricked until you actually get it repaired. Where some repairs, you know, a taillight here and there, look, you can drive around a little bit like that. Don't. You'll get one warning, and then after that, no more warnings. I know, because that Volvo that I used to drive, water would collect in the taillights and burn out the taillights all the time. So I was constantly replacing them and had to drill drain holes in the taillights. But I loved that car. So different manufacturers have different philosophy. The primary reason is packaging. If there is something in the way on one side, the fuel filler moves to the other side. Usually it's opposite the exhaust system. I've also heard that this is for safety reasons as well as space reasons. You want the place where the gasoline is to be far away from the exhaust, which can be hot. The thing that I find maybe most fascinating about this, like, I like that there's a reason why it's on the side for safety, because it's less likely to get hit, less likely to break that fuel neck. But I also really like that no one cares, despite the fact that it does matter. So I would never think to like say to a person selling me a car, I like this one, but the fuel door's on the driver's side. But like, I kind of, like, now that I'm thinking about it, I kind of do feel that way. The other advantage of having the fuel door on the driver's side is it's like easier to line up correctly, because you're like, oh, I'm right here, I can see where my side view mirror is, I'm not hitting it on anything. I got used with the Volvo to not, like, doing that correctly, so I'm just like, that's not a problem for me. And I like, but I that matters enough, it feels like to me. It matters enough that I feel like you might check. You might actually think, oh, I want to get a BMW because I like it being on the passenger side, or I want to get a Kia because I like it on the driver's side. It like matters, but nobody thinks about it. It just doesn't matter enough. And there's like so much that goes into buying a car. But this is, you know, when you're buying a gas-powered car, that's a significant part of the experience. I've noticed, as I have had an EV for a while, that like back when I drove a gas car, I'd go to the gas station a lot. It was a big part of the process. And the other advantage to the passenger side is that it's the less common option, which means it's more likely to have an open pull-in without having to do any like weird backing up stuff at the gas station. So I just have to say, I think it's safer, I think it's fewer door dings, and I think it's more convenient to have it on the passenger side. And I will happily experience some discomfort on this hill. I'm not going to die on this hill, but I will be slightly uncomfortable on it if you'd like to make me uncomfortable. But maybe everybody's on my side. Fight about it in the comments!